Steeler Nation, it's time to overreact. G'day, Steeler Nation. Welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia. I just, dead set, just woke up like half an hour ago and I saw the Steelers have released their depth chart. Now, we're going to go through every single position, every single person, and react to the content. But shout out to my mate West, who said in our Discord, Steeler fans, it's time to overreact. But let's have a look, guys. Let's see, because remember last year? Remember last year had Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. I think Kenny Pickett was number 2 quarterback. Trubisky was 1. Of course, that happened. But it was Kenny Pickett, and then Rudolph was 3. There was like a debacle. Anyways, let's get into it. So I'm going to share this straight from the site. And we're going to go through the offense first. Offense, and just see where players are sitting and just kind of figure out what are the thoughts of the Pittsburgh Steelers. What have we been seeing, through training camp, now going into their first preseason game. Now, of course, this won't be the final roster, but it gives you a good indication of what might be, what might be the final roster. But they still have to do this before the first preseason game. So exciting times. We're about 6 days away or 5 days away from actual football, right? So let's look through the roster. Now, we have here receiver. Let's just go from top to bottom. The way they do it was the way I'm going to do it, right? But they do jump receiver into half. So if you guys hopefully can see that as best you can. I think you can see it. It's okay, but it's not the best. Not the best background. But we have receiver here, Deontay Johnson, right? That's first. You then have on the other side, you have Allen Robinson and George Pickens. So they're like the 1, 2, 3 receivers. We all agree with that. Deontay's had a good camp. Allen Robinson's been going off. George Pickens had a fantastic camp. That's 1, 2, 3. That's factual. That's going to happen, right? The next point, though, is quite interesting. So you have second team is Miles Boykin. You scroll down to Calvin Austin, Hakeem Butler, right? That's 6 players. Now, I still think that Hakeem Butler has a chance to make the team, and the fact they're giving him his second spot in the depth chart tells you that. Calvin Austin, I think, does make the team. I think he's there. And the other key one as well is the gunner position. And has Miles Boykin been doing much in receiving game? I haven't heard anything about Miles Boykin being the receiver. Let me know, guys, in the comments below if you've heard anything about Miles Boykin. I've heard nothing about Miles Boykin at that point. So he's second. Now you scroll down. Calvin Austin is second. Butler's second. You then have the other guys who are string. Gunnar Olszewski, Jamarcus Bradley, Dez Fitzpatrick, Jordan Bird, and Cody White and Dan. I still think, though, for this depth chart and for the guys to make the team, there's only going to be 6 spots. So if you count the other 4 in with Calvin Austin, Robinson, Pickens, and Deontay, that's 4. Who's going to be 5 and 6? Could it be Butler? Could Gunner make a run there? And there's also an interesting point, too, for Gunner, right? Or could Miles Boykin make it? That's kind of cool to see. Now, they have got left tackle Dan Moore. He's starting over Jones. I think that's the right choice for now, and I think that's okay. It's fine for me. I kind of predicted that was going to happen. Dan Moore's been playing really well, but Jones is back up. Isaac Seumalo is left guard, which we thought that was going to happen. Kevin Dotson is back up, which is fantastic. Mason Cole, Kendrick Green center, Ryan McCollum, Spencer Anderson. There are 4 centers. Not all those guys are going to make it, right? James Daniels, Nate Herbig, William Dunkel, right guard. So you've got Daniels and you've got Nate Herbig as backup. Chooks, LaRaven Clark, and Dylan Cook as well. That's probably expected. No real surprises yet. Tight end room, we have Pat Frymouth, Zach Gentry, Connor Haywood, Darnell Washington, and Rodney Williams. The Steelers are going to take in 4. The Steelers are taking in 4 tight ends. That's going to happen this year. Pat, Zach, Connor, Darnell, all making it because Connor Haywood is also going to be their fullback, right? Now, the running back room is also sorting itself out the way that the fans have been noticing throughout the offseason in free agent play and the draft and now the camps. Because Najee Harris is 1, Jalen Warren is 2. I still believe that Najee Harris can get 1,000 yards. I still believe that Jalen Warren can get 1,000 yards. They both can. They both can get 1,000 yards this year. And also, Najee Harris got 1,000 yards the past 2 years. I reckon this will be the season that Najee Harris and Jalen Warren both get 1,000 yards. So then we have at running back Anthony McFarlane was the third. So he's really nestled himself in there with all the other characters around there. I know that Alfonso Graham just got injured. I think he's on injured reserve. But McFarlane's really found a place at third running back position. He really has. And he could be a key component, maybe for kick return, but we'll find out soon. So Darius Hagens, Greg Bell, John Lovett, they're just going to probably just be this year practice guys or guys who fill out the camp until cut time, because the Steelers are only going to take in, I think, 3 running backs with Connor Hayward. Now, the quarterback position is different to last year. As we all know, this year is a different feeling, different era. Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Tanner Morgan. No real surprises there. The only real surprise I would say for this list, in terms of like depth chart, is Hakeem Butler, I think, in the second team, probably, and maybe Miles Boykin being in the second team as well, because I haven't seen Miles Boykin do too much. Now, let's move on to the defense. Alrighty, Steeler Nation, let's do the defense. So this one, there is quite a few surprises right off the bat. Now, Cameron Hayward is defensive tackle. He's first there. You have nose tackle Montravius Adams. I didn't think that. I thought they would have put first team Braden Fajoko, but they're still high on Montravius Adams, which means he's probably going to make the team, right? That could be a possibility. I actually didn't think that. I thought when this came out, it was going to be Hayward, Fajoko, Benton, and Larry Ogunjobi in that order, right? So we have Hayward, Montravius Adams, Larry Ogunjobi for the first team. Second team, we have Loudermilk, which I haven't heard too much of either. Fajoko, DeMarvin Leal, I think he'll make an impact, even though he's quite injured at the moment. The third team, however, the only bloke that may stand out is Keanu Benton, the rookie. So you have Armon Watts, Manny Jones, and apologies to the other blokes, James and Jonathan Marshall. But there's just not enough spots for this team for you to make it. But what you got to focus on is Hayward, Montravius Adams, a nose tackle. He's in the first team reps. Ogunjobi, defensive end. That's the 3. And then the backup 3 behind them is Loudermilk, Fajoko, and Leal. Now, let's look into TJ Watt. Let's look into linebackers. TJ Watt, of course, Highsmith on the outside. That's happening. This is what I've been predicting the whole time since Holcomb and Roberts got picked. You're going to have Holcomb starting, Roberts starting as well. It's only like the starters or like the depth. The Steelers are still going to try and figure out different packages, nickel package and dime packages, stuff like that when they work into a real game. You know, you might see Roberts play rundowns. You might see Quan Alexander play more passes. But I think you're going to have middle linebacker number 1 is going to be Holcomb, Roberts, and behind them it's going to be Quan Alexander, Mark Robinson here, and the other blokes on the outside looking in, Tanner Muse. He's playing for a spot middle linebacker, but also playing for a spot on special teams too, right? Chappelle Russell and Nick Kukowski on the outside. Now, here's where it does get really interesting too. So at cornerback, Levi Wallace, he's listed there as number 1. Now, Patrick Peterson is number 1. So 2 guys on the outside. However, Pat P's been telling Steeler Nation that Pat P can play slot. Pat P can play safety. So they're going to move all these players around. So don't just take this, okay, that player is playing that position. No, they're going to move all these players around on defense. You're going to see a lot of chop and change. Now you have Minkah Fitzpatrick at free safety. Now here's a cool one too. At strong safety, they've listed both DeMonte Kazi and Keanu Neal together. Both together. Along with Killebrew, but we all know what Killebrew does. He's a special teams guy. He won't play too much on defense. Also at nickel, cornerback here, we have Shannon Sullivan, Elijah Riley, and Duke Dawson. I've heard some good things about Duke Dawson from some articles and some training camp footage, but they still got listed Shannon Sullivan and also Elijah Riley too. Don't be shocked if he makes a team and has a good preseason and a good end of camp, right? But even going through the cornerbacks and safety, so Levi Wallace is there. James Pierre still up there. I know he plays teams too, so they've got listed him probably like the 4th corner. You probably go Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, Joe Porter, and then James Pierce probably the fourth quarter. And then it goes on to the other string guys, Madre Harper, Isaiah Dunn, and who else we got? Chris Wilcox and Luke Barker. Those guys, you're fighting really hard for a spot, or at least to try and get a practice spot. And then the safeties, Trey Norwood is listed as second team too. I think he's got to step up this year too. I feel like Trey Norwood needs to step up, and whatever packages they put him in, he's got to step up. And then going to the end of that, it's Kenny Robertson and Trent Thompson. I do apologize. Don't know too much about you, but those fellas too also got to step up to at least to get the practice squad. Otherwise, you cut. The Steelers do this depth chart, right? They do it, but there are so many names still to be cut. Even I missed one too. The former Steelers pick Quincy Roche. He is on the outside looking in completely because the Steelers signed Nick Herbig, and Nick Herbig's playing fantastic in camp. I've heard great reports about Nick Herbig. Behind Highsmith, you're going to see behind Highsmith and TJ is Nick Herbig and Marcus Golden. So, woof. Anyways, how long have I been going? 10 minutes? Okay, that's crazy. So there's like the overall snapshot of the Steelers depth chart. Our first real reporting from the Steelers telling us what's going on. And as we go into special teams here, we have Presley Harvin is first. Braden Mann is second punter. So I guess there's still a competition there, but Presley Harvin is winning, I would say, from this depth chart report. Chris Boswell, he's your kicker. That's going to happen. Christian Kuntz is a long snapper versus Rex Sanahara. Kuntz is first. We have something interesting though. So I was trying to find out last few weeks who was going to be kick return, who was going to be punt return. The Steelers have listed Calvin Austin as kick return and punt return as first. But second, they've listed Gunnar Olszewski. I still think Gunnar Olszewski might make this team. He just might make this team as the sixth spot. He can still block. I know he's made a few drops here and there, but he just might. And they put here Jordan Bird as third. But I also wouldn't be too surprised either if they run like Calvin Austin and Connor Haywood running back kickoffs, because the new kickoff rules are kind of like, it's whatever. You catch it within the 25 yards. Catch it within the 10 yards. You can move the ball to 25. I'm more concerned about the punt return game. But Calvin Austin is going to be the punt returner, what we see during the first preseason game versus the Bucs. Anyways, how cool was that? That was awesome. That's awesome. So when we see the guys, run out into the field, hopefully see something similar versus the Bucs, I'll be watching things like that, like the slot corner. I'll be watching, Dan Moore versus Jones. I'll be watching kickoff return stuff. You know what? Pretty much, I'll be watching everything. Dead set. Let's be honest. I'll be watching everything. So thanks, guys, for checking out the first release of the Pittsburgh Steelers team's depth chat. I'm out of breath. I'll see you later.